Welcome to Jobbed Out, the wrestling editorial that would remind you about a memory loss joke, but I forgot it. A while back, I made a YouTube short about the Outlaw rule that completely blew up. Basically, after some shenanigans by the New Age Outlaws, a new rule was created in the WWF that in multi-team tag matches, a participant could not win by pinning their partner. And probably the biggest criticism I faced on that video was, well, fake rules for fake wrestling. And you know what? These people who made that comment are 100% boring. Entertainment does not have to be non-fiction to have rules. Books, movies, TV shows, they all set rules out too. It's not about determining who the winner and loser is like in real sports. It's about making it clear for the audience who the good guys and the bad guys are. The bad guys bend or break the rules so that they can rile up a crowd. It's called being a villain. So of course fictional programming has rules, or else there'd be no reason to follow a story or cheer for one side or another. You know what's fun though? When somebody comes along and completely misses or disregards the rules in a way that you don't expect. Just look at R-Truth. He's won fans over by being perhaps the most clueless wrestler of all time.
Truth is gonna do in Money in the Bank this Sunday. You're not even in the match.
Being a stickler for the rules.
Dominated tag. Hot tag in the Royal Rumble.
The tournament's been going on for 2 weeks now, and you've never been in it.
They told me, ain't this something? This is the Women's Royal Rumble. You are in. You are out.
There is no U.S. Open Challenge.
My bad.
So let's have a little bit of fun here. This video is going to focus on the wrestlers who forgot rules in the middle of the match and lost because of it.
I think he was expecting the WWE World title to be hung above the ring.
And I do want to clarify, this one's about the characters who, despite in kayfabe having spent their entire careers in a world with these rules set in stone, still managed to slip up. This is Freaks 5, wrestlers who lost the match because they forgot the rules. Number 5, Kamala. Kamala the Ugandan giant had a pretty simple character. He was an uncivilized savage plucked from an African village and forced by his handler into combat. Wow. Yeah, when I put it that way, yikes. It was a different time though, and yeah, we're never gonna see a character like that today. But in 1993, with the help of the Reverend Slick, Kamala started to learn about and embrace his humanity. The fans wanted to see him learn and grow. Sadly, if anybody knows how to manipulate and abuse young underdeveloped minds, it's P. Diddy. But for the sake of this video, we're gonna talk about Doink the Clown instead. On Raw, Doink would mess with the Ugandan giant, offering and withholding a beautifully wrapped present from him. When Kamala would finally get his hands on the gift, he would end up losing the match by countout while trying to unwrap it. And you know what was in the box?
Nothing! Absolutely nothing! Stupid! You're so stupid!
He would eventually get the upper hand on the clown, but it was too little too late. Number 4, the Macho Man. Randy Savage was undeniably one of the most charismatic dudes ever to grace a wrestling ring, and his wrestling ability was right up there too, but the Macho Man really sucked at Royal Rumbles. In 1991, he who was king at the time cost the Ultimate Warrior the WWF Championship and opted to skip the Rumble entirely rather than face the consequences. He would be the cause for a rule to determine how a wrestler can forfeit their spot.
I mean, he is not officially out of here until the clock starts for the next participant. It's too late now. 18's out of there.
In 1992, Macho Madness got carried away as Savage, who was feuding with Jake Roberts, forgot about the over-the-top rule and jumped to the floor in order to attack Jake the Snake. Since he wasn't supposed to be eliminated yet, Bobby Heenan would come up with an excuse on the fly.
No one threw him over the rope. I believe that's one of the rules of the Royal Rumble.
That rule would be retconned in future years, but it's 1993 that we're talking about, perhaps one of Macho's biggest blunders, when Savage was one elimination away from the main event of WrestleMania 9. It would be this match that Savage forgot that pinfalls don't count in a battle royal, and it cost him dearly. That mistake resulted in Macho Man's ticket to Mania being a one-way ticket to commentary. Number 3, Retribution. When Retribution hit the scene in 2020, they weren't yet a total embarrassment. The group was successful in disrupting entire shows.
Oh, this is our house now! This is our house now!
You might want to leave!
But it all started going downhill only a couple weeks after they debuted, when they began to clash with another newly formed stable, the Hurt Business. The two factions would battle a couple times, but a Monday Night Raw match on September 21st ended really awkwardly when Lashley was about to put away Slapjack.
Could this end this match? Oh, and it's T-Bar right between the eyes of Lashley. Illegal man-made contact.
Now I'm gonna forgive you for WTFing this one, because I can't think of the last time this rule was enforced either. For decades, when the legal participant was attacked by somebody on the outside or an illegal participant, there would usually be a distraction keeping the referee from seeing the contact. This time though, Retribution members forgot that part and Lashley just got blasted right in front of the ref. Stupid, right? And it would all go downhill from here for Retribution until they eventually just shut it down. Number 2. Gene Kiniski. Hey, finally an Edmonton boy I can talk about without incredible shame. In early 1969, Kiniski had been the NWA World Champion for over 3 years before a title defense against Dory Funk Jr. At this point, Kiniski was used to NWA Championship defenses being best 2 out of 3 falls, as was the style at the time. This match, however, was 1 fall to a finish. So when Funk put Kiniski in a spinning toe hold, Canada's greatest athlete submitted, unwittingly losing the greatest prize in our sport because he forgot the rules. Thing is, if something goes incredibly wrong in this era at a house show, they would just correct it by having the champ win the belt a few days later. But Funk would hold the title for over 4 years after this, which means it may have been the plan all along. Kayfabe was alive and well back then, so ultimately we're never gonna know. Now before I get to number 1, I wanted to bring up a couple of honorable mentions who just didn't quite fit the bill. Dean Malenko. WCW Sold Out 2000 was known primarily as Chris Benoit's swan song before departing for the WWE, but this show also hosted the final matches for Perry Saturn and Dean Malenko too. Unfortunately for Malenko, who was to face Billy Kidman in a catch-as-catch-can match, billed as Malenko's specialty no less, Dean forgot the rules.
Remain inside the ring. If either of the competitor's feet hit the ground outside the ring, they automatically lose the match.
I'll tell you, Kidman sometimes has more guts than brains. It can happen like that in a split second.
Referee Charles Robinson is called for the bell.
This one falls under honorable simply because it wasn't the character that forgot the rule, it was the wrestler, accidentally ending the match early and derailing the plans meant for Kidman's gauntlet through the night. Hulk Hogan. Oh man, this one's gonna need an entire video on its own, so keep an eye out for that. The TLDR is that at Uncensored 1999, Hogan and Ric Flair were to compete in a first blood match inside of a barbed wire wrapped steel cage for both Hogan's title and Flair's career. And despite Flair himself acknowledging the rules pre-match,
This thing goes down the way I want it. You make the call. No scratches, first blood.
the Nature Boy would bleed in the first couple of minutes, as is tradition, only for the ref to ignore it. On top of that, Hogan didn't seem bothered even though the match should be over.
It gets so much worse!
Suddenly a main event that could only end when somebody bleeds allowed for pinfalls, and then didn't. And then did again. Flair even pulled some shenanigans behind the ref's back as to not be disqualified, once again in a match that has no DQs, and ultimately because Hogan and everybody else for that matter forgot the first blood part of a first blood match, Flair would win it all by pinfall. Sure. The Great Khali. In September of 2010, Edge was in hot water for repeated disrespect of the anonymous Raw general manager, who had not yet been revealed as Hornswoggle. The anonymous GM tried to make an example of Edge by forcing him to defend his spot in an upcoming WWE Championship 6-pack challenge against the Great Khali. He would outsmart and defeat Khali in mere moments via countout. The GM would change the rules and make the match an over-the-top rope challenge. Loser is the one who goes over the top rope to the floor. Simple enough, right? Well, not if you're the Great Khali.
Whoa. Khali.
Whoa, hello?
Yeah, so the guy who enters and exits the ring over the top rope forgot that he wasn't supposed to do it this one time. Since it wasn't the finish though, the ref had to pretend not to see it, leaving Michael Cole absolutely baffled.
Khali just eliminated himself. He walked over the top rope and went down to the floor. The official never called it.
In the end, the Great Khali actually was supposed to lose this match and did so properly a couple minutes later. Now with all that said and done, who's my number one wrestler who lost their match by forgetting the rules? Number 1. Randy Orton. Normally in the WWE, a championship can only change hands on a pinfall or a submission. There are exceptions like ladder matches, tables matches, or straight up gifting. But Randy Orton lost his World Heavyweight title via temper tantrum. At Money in the Bank 2011, yes, that Money in the Bank 2011, Orton was to defend the WHC against Christian, who he had defeated several times already, but this bout came with a caveat. Christian had a stipulation added so that a title can change hands if Orton gets disqualified. So in addition of trying to beat the Viper, he put plenty of effort in just to piss the guy off. And piss the guy off he did. Yep, Christian just gave Orton a Haktua and spat on that thing. Fuck, how late am I to that reference? Anyway, spitting in one's mouth usually costs extra, so Orton promptly kicked Christian right in the patriarchy for a DQ. Just like that, the Legend Killer forgot the rules and it cost him the second most important title in the company. And man, did he let Christian know what he thought afterwards. So there you have it, 5 wrestlers who forgot the rules, in storyline anyway, and lost their match because of it. While it doesn't happen often, it is a nice change from the same old formula and reminds the viewer why rules are there in the first place. With that said though, this is all just my opinion, so I want to know what you think was the wildest time a wrestler forgot the rules to their own match. Can you think of other times that weren't featured in this video? And do you think the idea of rules on a fictional show are hokey for you? Or can it make for some fun and variety? Let me know what you think in the comments and be sure to subscribe to this channel for more because I want you to be a part of these conversations too. For now though, I better get my shoulders off the mat, so I want to thank you for tuning in to Jobbed Out. I'll catch you next time.